Greetings, everybody. Going to be starting a new series here today. This is one that I hinted at a while back. Now look at that. You know when you see that wolf team, seal equality, things are going to be good. So what are we playing today? Well, this is actually one of my favorite games. However, it's also a legendarily bad game. This is Earnest Evans for the Mega CD, or Sega CD, whichever way you look at it. This game is, as I said, pretty legendary for being awful, but I actually like it quite a bit. It's one of those games that came out, you know, back in that era where they would put an unnecessary amount of detail into the story and everything. So this came out in '91, and it's got quite a pedigree as far as the staff. As you saw, this was made by Wolf Team. Those guys eventually got rolled up and became Namco Tales Studio, like the guys that made the Tales of series. So pretty good pedigree there. Music is by Sakuraba Motoi, who ended up doing the music for the Dark Souls series. So, yeah, Earnest Evans. You will see, however, as we get into the game, things get a little bit weird. You know, in the early 90s, late 80s, when they came across that really cool technique where they would take multiple sprites for the same character, usually a giant boss enemy in like a shmup-style game? Well, they decided to do that with Earnest Evans here, and as you can see, things look a little bit weird. Yeah, kind of unfortunate. Now, there are tons of interesting things about this game and the way the mechanics work. For instance, the game is very poorly optimized and tends to slow down. Slowing down is sort of a good thing, though, because it actually will cause you to do more damage to the enemies because your whip will overlap their sprites for longer. But it also means you can take more damage. There are no iframes in this game. And you'll notice everything explodes, which is pretty awesome. So, watch my life bar as I overlap enemies. It just sort of ticks down at an incredibly rapid rate. So what's the plot of this game? Well, I mentioned they put probably more effort into it than was necessary, but it's essentially a game that takes place in sort of like the early 20th century. It's got some historical figures in it. It's got some H.P. Lovecraft in it, and not just Lovecraft inspired like, you know, everything is. Literally some stuff taken out of Lovecraft. It's really weird. Think of it as sort of anime Indiana Jones. That's basically who you're playing as here. The game has a lot of cutscenes, which are fully voiced, which is pretty awesome. And pretty much all the bosses, you just look at and you go, what is this? See that wonderful slowdown there? It's good, though. The more it slows down, the more damage I will actually do as I hit with the whip here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, not only did this game have quite a lot going for it in terms of, you know, the staff that actually worked on the game, but there were some reasonably big names that did the voice acting as well. So, Earnest Evans is Kazuki Yao, who actually did voices in Initial D, Street Fighter, Full Metal Alchemist, and now we're going to get some exposition here. I do have the script, so I'll try to kind of translate it as we go along. Essentially, the goal here is Earnest Evans is a treasure hunter, an Indiana Jones-style figure. He's looking for the Necronomicon. Yes, the Lovecraftian stuff starts creeping in pretty fast. And the funny thing is that he's actually looking for this Necronomicon for President Coolidge. So, don't ask me what's going on with that, but that's what's happening. And you end up taking a biplane and a boat around the map. Now, you have no control over this, it's just a cutscene. But it's kind of neat to see you go to all these different locales. However, there is a moment that is like one of the funniest things I've ever seen that happens on the map, but we'll get to that. The music's pretty rockin'. Sakuraba Motoi, he does not mess around. Although it would have been pretty funny if we had those, like, orchestral and, like, choirs going, like in the Dark Souls soundtrack, but hey. Now, there are a lot of points in this game where you actually have to sort of damage boost yourself. And it's really, really easy to just instantly die, because, as I said, there are no iframes, and essentially the health just ticks down as long as you're touching an enemy. And it makes this wonderful, like, farting sound for some reason. But hey. And, like, what is going on with these enemies? Now we're in Dune, apparently. Now, there are several hidden weapons that you can find, or not-so-hidden weapons. This is the Fire Whip, which is rather wonderful because it gives you the hat. Alright, prepare yourself for one of the greatest moments in all of gaming history. I love it. The first time I saw that. Yeah, we'll just crawl out backwards. That's fine. Oh, it's wonderful. Now, the collision on these ropes is so terrible that you'll usually end up falling in and dying, but managed to get it pretty well that time. There are limited continues, but I think I'm going to get through this without using a continue, but that's actually pretty difficult. Notice how they also space these in such a way that you have to get hit. I don't know. Yet another boss where I have no idea what it's supposed to be. The controls are as bad as they look, but it works. So apparently he's going into the Temple of the Wind God now, which, that makes sense. For all of you that might live in Peru, that's a thing, right? Temple of the Wind God? I don't know. You see what I mean, though? Like, they put a lot of effort into this. It's pretty great. And don't worry, we'll see some more of that mysterious figure that we just witnessed. Hey! Once again, I don't really know, but I sure do like it. I seriously love this song. It's pretty rockin'. Now, believe it or not, this rock is actually the most powerful weapon in the entire game, per hit. It will one-shot basically any enemy, just by chucking a rock at them. And we're going to use it when we get to the boss. Kind of hard to aim, but it works. Also, those spiky things, legitimately terrifying. I actually first found out about this game by watching the Retsu Prey, the Wrong Prey of it, which, at that point, I knew I had to play this one. Alright, so as you get up here, there's a part where you can refill your life. However, if you screw it up, you basically just end up dying immediately. You gotta watch out, get right in the corner where you're not overlapping these guys. And then you should be okay. Ta-da! But if you're in the wrong position, you will just instantly die there, so that's fun. And boss time. Just chuck some rocks at its face, and there you go. Ooh! I love it. Love it. There's another moment coming up that I think probably qualifies for top 10 moments in gaming, period. We'll get to that, though. This level is really trippy in the sense that it actually loops horizontal or vertically rather. So if you take this upper path, you can actually lead down to the lower path, and it's really weird. They'll mess you up, disorient. Yeah. So yeah, now if we were to go back to the left, it would take us down the other path. Okay, here we go. Ah! I love it so much. It's great. Now doing this little whip swing is as janky as it looks. I had to actually practice this game quite a bit to get to the point where I could beat it. You do have limited continues, as I mentioned. Yeah, get him. As I mentioned, as the game slows down, it's good because I'm actually dealing more damage to those guys. It's sort of something that they didn't learn their lesson from. Well, I guess it was a different team, same composer, but in Dark Souls, that was the case as well. You know, this guy looks a lot harder than he actually is. Ta-da. Now, you know we weren't going to get through one of these old anime games without a little bit of fan service. Now she doesn't have a towel. It's like he took the towel off before trying to wake her up. Anyways, this is Annette. And she is voiced by Minaguchi Yuko, who actually did voices in Dragon Ball GT, one of the Final Fantasy games, I think, and something else. This is Siegfried, and he is working for Al Capone. So that's one of the antagonists. Now, he is voiced by Horikawa Ryo, who did Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, so pretty big voice talent there. And I think he was somebody in Detective Conan and Karasu in Yu Yu Hakusho. This part's great. He just got, like, reverse Indiana Jones right there. Yeah. And there he goes. So if you didn't notice, he just took the Necronomicon. Not so great. And back to the world map. So anyways, she starts telling you essentially that she's a priestess, and she's supposed to keep the Necronomicon sealed. Obviously didn't do a very good job of that, but, well, it happens. We've all accidentally let a Necronomicon go at one point. I'm glad they didn't make us take the biplane across the Pacific Ocean. That might have been bad. So anyways, now we know we're going up against Al Capone. You know, you kind of wonder why they decided to go west if they were going to Europe. It makes me laugh every time. I know it's because the world map doesn't loop, but it just looks hilarious. Like, yeah, that makes sense. We'll just go west. I just love this game so much. So this is Charlotte. She basically appears in this one scene. And she is voiced by Tsuruhiromi, who is Bulma in Dragon Ball Z. And then somebody in Metal Gear Solid, I think. Good job, Ernest. Yep. Should have seen that coming. Now, didn't Siegfried take the Necronomicon in the previous scene, so why did she just take it again? Anyways, so at the beginning of this level, if you hold to the left, you'll land on top of the train here. And that's what you want to do, because otherwise you have to go all the way to the left, circle back to the right to get this artifact, and then go to the left again. We'll see another similar exploit later. But at least we got these like old school gangsters now to go up against. And this thing. Once again, no idea. I don't know. It's okay though, we can take off our plane in like 20 feet. Good to go. Alright, so here we actually get Al Capone and Ulrich, I think is his name. So he is voiced by Sato Masaharu, who voices Death in Castlevania, a couple characters in Fist of the North Star, and then Al Capone is voiced by Tanaka Hideyuki, who did somebody in Fist of the North Star, and then I think he was Otacon in Metal Gear Solid, actually. You can tell they're the villains, though, kinda, right? So anyways, their plan is to use the Necronomicon to revive Oster's cult and whatever. Anyways, for some reason we're now in prison. And for some reason, Siegfried is in here with us. As we'll see. And then for some reason, he also wants to help us now. It makes sense, really. So anyway, Siegfried tells them about the plan to revive an ancient evil and end the world. For some reason they want to do that. I don't know. The beginning of this level is great. Oh, hang on. That was health. Just let me get to the... Okay. Good to go. And here we go! The main enemy of this level is the acrobatic knife-wielding Guile, for some reason, which is pretty awesome. It just gets funnier the more you look at it. And then the boss is perhaps the worst steampunk airship you've ever seen, but we'll get to that. This game is just wonderful. Yeah, go for it, Ernest. This is like, you know, taking out a Harrier with a throwing knife in Modern Warfare 2. Basically the equivalent of that. I'm literally just hitting it with a whip. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, this will be the last cutscene in part 1. I hope you've been enjoying so far. I know I am. This game is wonderful. So we're going towards like the Gobi Desert or something, and be going into the next level. There are only going to be 2 parts to this series. I just didn't want it to be like 40 minutes long, so I hope you've enjoyed part 1. And next time, look forward to the thrilling conclusion. Till then. 特殊な力を持つ人間が鍵を握っているらしい。